I just jumped in and cut you
jacked
off.
the intro out of my mouth.
But that's okay, because that kind of leads into what we're talking about today on ways we can communicate and plan better for this new year coming up.
This is true, yes, because if you don't do that, the opposite effect is that you're not communicating well, and then it can cause some disagreements and just some frustrations in your blended family.
And you end up cutting people off, just like I just did. So, hey, there it is. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Hope your Christmas went well. Now we are rounding the corner to New Year's. So I know everyone's getting their New Year's plans set. So it's got to be really fun. I love this time of year.
I was going to say that.
I do love this time of year. And we're now focusing on the year 2022, which is kind of crazy to say and think about, but it is here. It is upon us. So are you prepared? Are you ready? So hopefully within this episode, we'll help throw in a few nuggets to get you even closer to where you want to be.
All right, so we're ready to talk about getting prepared for the new year. And like Randall was saying before that, it's one of his favorite times of year. It is mine too. It's just exciting it's like a fresh start. Even though for me as like a school teacher, the new year always started in September, and it's actually midway through the year, it still gave you that like freshness of what you were going into and like all the possibilities. For some reason, all of a sudden, one day makes a difference, and now you have all of these possibilities open to you for what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, what your family wants to do, what they want to accomplish. But if you don't prepare, what happens?
It leads to a mess. But the thing what we don't want to happen is we don't want to set unrealistic expectations.
This is true.
This is the time to where we say, okay, I'm getting in the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get healthy this year. And then we go and we get that gym membership. Everyone knows the stories and the things we do. And you go for 1 week, 2 weeks, and the rest of the year you're just paying for a membership that you never use. And we don't want that, especially not for our families. So we want to be able to connect. We want to be on the same page. And there are certain things that we can put into practice that can help us do that. Because if we don't, like you're saying, we can really lead to miscommunication to where now I might be thinking one thing, you might be thinking another. We never communicated because things happen. Life gets busy. We're running kids here and there, and everybody's involved in this and that, especially springtime. That's when a lot of sports are starting back up again, and it just really gets kind of chaotic, and you're going all over the place. And if you don't have good plans in place, it can really lead to a mess. People feel left out. People feel not important, and all this can happen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what got me to get to a place where really one of my very favorite Christmas presents is my planner. Like, I need a planner because I got to a point in my life where the kids were all involved in something, and not just like sports outside of school, but all the activities in school when they get into that middle age, or not middle age.
They get into that middle age mindset, and they still haven't moved out yet. And it's like, I don't know what's going on. We need a plan for that.
The middle school age where there's activities and stuff in school and there's stuff outside school. And I would get to this point where I would miss things. I missed the open house, or I missed the game, or whatever it was. I can't even remember the exact moment that happened. And I was like, I am tired of this. I feel like a crazy person and I feel like I'm not a good mom. Like, when you miss out on those important things, it makes you very insecure in those areas. And I was like, I got to get a handle of this. What can I do? And duh.
Well, but we see that especially in blended families, and this is why we're talking about this, because it can become an issue if not thought about. In blended families, we have a lot of added people into the family. So we have added parents and added grandparents, added
Aunts and
co-parents and
uncles, yeah,
added aunts and
co-parents.
uncles, to where now the family, which could be small, has grown. And if we don't stay connected or communicated, we get pulled in so many different ways. And we start missing things. We start missing getting our kids there. We start missing communicating with other people. And the worst is being able to communicate with your spouse.
That's true. Because when you live with someone and yet somehow they still don't know what's going on this weekend because you forgot to tell them, it's pretty bad.
But we see that, and we've fallen victim to that so many times that we thought we had said something and we didn't because we were busy doing this or that or work and multitasking, running here, running there, and then someone tells you, "Hey, remember we got that thing tomorrow." Wait, what? Excuse me? I had I'm bringing up an old Wayne's World thing.
I know, I was like, that's been a while.
But you start already having plans made and someone throws a curveball on you, and it was really innocent, but it can start leading to, like for a married couple, it can start leading to, why didn't you tell me? And then it starts going down a really bad path that you don't want to go down. So especially when we could have had some better ways of being able to communicate and stay on the same page together. So
yeah, so we have like a few different things that we do that work for us, or that we've done in the past that worked for us during that time period, but not necessarily now. So we're going to share some of those with you, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about the solo thing, right? Yourself, you need a plan for your life. I would be lost if I didn't have a calendar. I would be lost if I didn't have a calendar that I'm looking at on a month or a weekly basis that helps me organize. I've got to organize my life first. If I can't organize my life, I can't communicate that or try to fit someone else's life into my schedule. So as you were saying, having a personal journal or personal planner,
yeah, and
that's big.
It looks different for whatever works for you, and there are so many different ones out there, and I've tried several different kinds till I find the one that, like, okay, yeah, this is it, this is what I like, this works for me. But what I use, and the girliness of it and making it all pretty and it has stickers and color coded and all that, isn't necessarily what you like.
Right.
For you like something that just bullet points it all out. This is what I got to do, let me mark it off.
So it's really up on your personality. There's all different kinds of planners out there that fit everyone. What I have found myself falling more into as a guy, and this might work for husbands out there, is my Google Calendar. So just creating a simple Gmail account where you've got your email set up and it comes with a free Google Calendar. That's one thing that I have learned to use. Before, I would just get a paper calendar planner, and that didn't always work out too well for me. Sometimes I do really good, sometimes I wouldn't, but I always have my phone on me, so I can always access my calendar and go to that. I can set it up to where it sends me reminders and things of that. So that has helped me just from a guy standpoint.
Yeah, and I like the Google Calendar too, but I also need like a physical calendar, and getting something that fits in your purse or your backpack, whatever you're going to carry around if you're going to be in multiple places. That way I can just pull it out when I need it wherever I'm at. But I do like the phone Google Calendar. Really, when you're linking up with other people, I really like the Google Calendar because you can sync your calendars together so you can see what's going on if they already have something scheduled or planned, or with your kids, you can add something in and it tells the other person that you need it as well.
Yeah, and that's helped us as a couple. So now we've talked about the solo things, just kind of getting your life in order and thinking about this next year and what are you doing, what are the things you're involved in, just making sure that you hit your marks and you've got a plan for it. There's a famous quote, and I don't know who says it, but it goes, "If you aim for nothing, you'll always hit it." And that quote has always stuck with me, that so often in life we can just go like we're just a feather in the waves, just going wherever it takes us. You know, that we kind of lose that intentionality and we just go wherever life takes us, and we miss the mark sometimes we'll get it right and not. But I've learned that the more intentional I am, the more planning, the more I have a target to aim for, the more success I see in my life. And that's why we're kind of talking about this as well, because we want your blended family to have success, more success, that you could ever imagine, right? Or more success than you may have seen or that you want. These are some of the tools and tactics to be able to get that.
Yeah, and like next week, we're going to really hone in on the things that you want for your family, like the vision and stuff. This week, we want to just prepare you with the tools that you can use before you even get to that point, so that you can find what works for you and what works for your family, so you can have that in mind and get it ready in place, so that when we talk more deeper on that vision, that target that we're talking about, that you'll be ready.
For sure. And we've learned all this through failure, failure to communicate, really. And so this is the things that we have learned, we have picked up over the time just from other people and other things that work. They really do. This is why businesses do it all the time. Before the year starts, they've got plans. We should be doing the same thing with our family. So this, just taking that, so we've talked about the solo, just having a plan for your life, whatever that looks like for you, whatever fits your personality, just kind of being able to lay that out. The cool thing that with the Google calendar that we talked about is now for a couple, because that's another big thing, that if me and her are not staying together on things, it really can lead to some frustrations in your marriage. And we don't want that. We want to eliminate all the little silly goofy things, because why? It's not, why over these little dumb things should we let that blow up our marriage? So if we can cut that out, this helps. But the Google calendars allow us, this is one thing that we found, and there's so many different things out there that you can do with your spouse, but we're able to connect our Google calendars, and then we put it on there. So we've got one, I can see the things she's doing, she can see the things I'm doing, and we can put it on there together. And it's just it's a great way for us not to forget to tell the other one about something. Or sometimes you can even put that on there, and then that brings up us to talk about it. Like that way we remember to talk about it. So that's just a great way to be able to stay connected together. Another thing that works really well is we have a whiteboard in our kitchen. So it's one of those dry erase boards, a calendar dry erase board. And what we'll do is, as the month comes up, we'll redo the thing. Actually, Scarlett's really good at that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the end of a month. I start to get like antsy because I can't see what's coming up, like when I'm looking at in the kitchen, and that's where we keep ours, because that's like the center location that everybody usually is at.
Everybody goes to the kitchen.
Everybody's always in the kitchen. We have it hanging on the side of our fridge.
Eating so that up all the food.
Oh man, yes. So that everybody can see it, and that way it keeps that visual right there. And so each month, right when it gets towards the end, I get satisfaction out of erasing that last month and then writing in the new month, and then just start filling in the things that we already know, the things that we do on a regular weekly basis, putting those in, because sometimes then the kids come up with something else and you're like, oh yeah, let me write it on the calendar, but you didn't write in that thing that you always go to, maybe your small group or something that you always go to on Wednesday, and now the kids had something and you wrote that on there and you completely forgot that you already do things on that day. So it just helps to get that out so people can see when they're planning too, okay, yeah, we already have something going on that weekend, I'm not going to plan anything. Or even the opposite of that, which we have to do sometimes, which is mark off a weekend and say, we're planning nothing.
Nothing. That is, that's a whole topic within itself, to plan nothing. That's a plan, because if not, it doesn't happen, and you end up missing that Sabbath or that rest day that you can have, and that's so important. We need that. So you got to plan your rest days. If not, you get overwhelmed, overworked, overstressed, and it catches up with you.
Yeah, for sure. Because when I'm using like my personal calendar and I'm carrying that around with me and I'm filling it out, I'm able to fill that out in the future. But like this kitchen one, you can't fill it out in the future. So what I typically will go do is get my planner out, and I'll pull to that next month, and I'll see like, oh wow, like the kids' soccer schedule is like kind of overwhelming this week, or oh, this is overlapping with each other once we start talking about it, and you can see it. And sometimes I'll use like different colors for different kids and their activities, just so we can see, real quick visual. But it gives you that insight on, okay, do we need to take, like maybe you're gone for 3 weekends out of the month, you do need to plan in that one weekend of telling your spouse, because maybe they don't know, they just see that it's open, and now they plan something big, and it's like to help your friend move, and then now all of of a sudden every weekend is taken in that month. And that just, when you keep doing that, it adds up and it's exhausting. And when everybody's feeling tired and exhausted and pulled all different directions, then that's when your fuses get a lot shorter too, and you begin to start to disagree a lot more and have frustrations and fighting a lot more in your marriage and with your kids when you're not even home long enough to do the things you need to do to function well in your house.
We're going to stay connected. If we're not spending time together, we're growing apart. So it's very important to have those plans to where we are, and we're very big on planning date nights and putting that on calendars. And this is how you can do that with your family, with your kids, with your spouse. It's thinking ahead. That way you don't overload your schedule, but you're being more intentional with it. So that's a good place to be able to see it. And what we love about having that dry erase board in the kitchen is now not just me and her can see it, but our whole family can see it. Our kids can see it. And as your kids get older, before you're able to put in sporting things and music things, whatever everybody's involved in, you can put that on there. But when your kids get a little older and they start working, maybe they're hitting 15, 16, working, we start writing their schedules on there, because some of their schedules can be kind of crazy too. So it's just a way for us all to be able to communicate with each other in one general location. So that's really powerful. That's a great thing to do. So we've talked about solo, like having a plan for ourselves. Now we've talked about together as a married couple, staying connected in a few ways to be able to do that, because that's important. And then as a family, kind of being able to connect as a family and be able to see things like that. Another thing to pour into that is what we have learned to try to do. We've learned this through multiple sources whenever we try planning and stuff, is coming together once a week and me and her talking, saying, hey, what do we have going on for next week? So we both get our calendars out, or you have your Google Calendar out, or you're sitting in front of the whiteboard and you're planning one day out of that week before the next week comes up. Maybe it's that Sunday evening, or maybe right after church, you're coming home and eat lunch, and then say, okay, let's look at next week real quick. And it can take 5-10 minutes to help you both get on the same page, but you're intentional and you do it weekly. That way things don't get missed.
I will say we function at our best when we stick to that. Sometimes you get in a routine and new habits or whatever, and you might fall away from that because you get comfortable and maybe things aren't an issue at that point, so it doesn't seem as necessary. But then once we hit that wall again of like, oh, okay, we've got to do something different, then we always come back to that. Okay, we need to start talking about our schedule the week before so that we can start trading off some stuff, or seeing that, okay, he has something important going on that day, so maybe I need to take on the load. It's helped us a lot because we're shifting and doing like some evening work right now. So if he needs to pick up dinner, not pick up like,
or cook dinner, right?
Cook dinner that night because I'm going to be gone later, or vice versa, then we can plan that in there as well. It really helps with even just meal planning in general when you're using a calendar and using a planner to see what you're doing that week, because if not, then you just end up wanting to go get La Casona.
I cook a mean Taco Bell, It's oh, it's my turn to cook? All right.
Yeah, when you don't have the plans.
It is very skillful for you to get the tacos from Taco Bell and unwrap them and put them on plates and make them look really appetizing. So
no, the truth is because usually I am the one that does the cooking, and if for some reason things get crazy and I forgot to thaw out the meat or whatever for that night, then if I call and if I say something that involves Mexican food, then he's more willing to be like, yeah, let's just do that.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, you should. The other day when I called and I was doing that, as a side note, but I had forgot to thaw out something. I was coming home later than I was expecting, and I was already in the Taco Bell drive-thru. I wasn't expecting it to be so quick, but there was nobody in the line, and so I'm on the phone with him. Hey, it's cool. I was going to go buy Taco Bell. Is that cool with you? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, hold on.
What do you want to order?
I'm already in the line, ready to order.
Wait a minute.
You're there already?
So this wasn't really a question. This was more of what do you want?
Yes.
So, yeah. So that's fun. But we do. It is a way for us to be able to stay connected whenever you sit there and you look at it, your week coming up. Man, there's a lot of power in that. And that just helps as a family. It helps as a couple. It helps cut out, like we said, a lot of the fighting and a lot of the arguing whenever we both know what's going on. And then you can kind of see what your schedule looks like. And do I need to cut back, or can we add some more stuff to it? Hey, we'll be back momentarily. Check out this announcement. We are so excited to be able to give you our new free guide. You see, one of the hardest parts about being in a blended family are the relationships that struggle to connect or become strained by all the changes.
You can't force someone to love someone else, but you can do little things to connect with them and show them that you care. That's why we created this 1-week guide that has quick solutions to build stronger connections with your family. It's a way that you can start small by focusing on one relationship at a time. And the good news is that you don't have to make big changes. It's the small steps that make the big impacts.
We want you to have this free guide that has 7 ways to grow your relationships in just 7 days. So quit stressing over strengthening your family relationships. Start here by downloading this free guide, Enjoying Your Blended Family, 7 Ways in 7 Days to Connect. You'll be so glad you did. The link to get your free copy is in the show notes of this episode. Now back to the episode. So powerful stuff. So last thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, the last is using technology and social media to your advantage to keep everybody on the same loop. And
because blended families can be big, right?
Yeah. Oh man, there's just so many different things that you forget when there's so many. We'll start with those in your house. Okay, so your family, your kids that are in your house, putting you all on a group text if they're old enough to have cell phones. So for us, all of our kids are 18 and older now. So having us all in this group text so that when I have an event planned for us, our Sunday night dinners, whatever's going on, then I can do a quick hey guys, we're doing Sunday or dinner this Sunday. This is what we're having. If that's what I'm going to use to entice them to more likely come over. We're doing spaghetti tacos. Hint, hint, son, you love this.
But what we found as a family that we were doing is we would tell one kid and forget to tell the other. Mm-hmm. And then we would tell another and then not this one. And so we had half of our kids knowing about it and the other half being like, wait, what?
And then I would be sad that they didn't show up.
And then that can leave them feeling hurt, like I wasn't invited. And
no, it's all about me. I'm sad. I'm sad that they didn't show up.
But the thing is you don't want anyone feeling that way, and it's honest mistakes just because it's tough to communicate with everybody and remember who you communicated with. So
can I tell a kind of side story? This is blended family issues. That's the only reason I'm saying this. So we had multiple group messages going, because if I said something in this group, then one of the kids, if they saw that this kid was coming, then they might not want to show up because then
there was a little static
there was some static there. So I would message them separately so they didn't realize. But then, like Randall said, I would forget that I didn't say this or I did say this to this one, and then people wouldn't show up and then feelings would get hurt. So it's so much nicer now to have them all in one group.
You don't want to bring the division, and that was another hard lesson we learned is that was division. And don't do it. Just do one group message. And actually we have some family members that they do this in their family, and it was powerful. It was like, man, they don't necessarily use text. I think they use like a group me or one of those other texting apps that keeps you together, and there was power in that. Everything they do, they're texting in that. They're being able to communicate. They're laughing and putting funny things, and just a fun way for families to stay connected. So that was really powerful to see that. We've tried to incorporate that into ours. We're using texting right now. So yeah, really good stuff. But the last part of the family, so that's the core family.
That's the core family. And then, something I started, we don't need it now because our kids are older, but when our kids were all involved in sports, and we do have such a big family, like I actually called it the Big Blended Family on Facebook, and I just created a group for all of the family, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, all of our kids, the co-parents, as long as everything was smooth during that time period. and we were all on there. That way, when the kids had an activity, I could just put on there either the calendar that had their schedule that they got from soccer or from basketball, or the football games that they would be playing at, cheering at, whatever. And I could put that on there. Or if they had a school event, a choir concert or something, then I could go in there and put that. Or if maybe there was a picture that they got from one of these special events, or an award or something, then I could put it on there and it let everybody know, and everybody could get the picture or see what was going on, and it didn't leave them out. Because I was really bad about, like, I would talk to this set of grandparents and maybe remind them that we had a game coming up, but I might forget my ex's parents, which, you know, their other grandparents, which, you know, I love and adore, and I don't ever mean to leave them out. It's just I would get busy and I would text and tell this person, or maybe I would assume that my ex-husband was going to tell his parents, and then they went without being told, and so then they missed out on the event as well. So just different ways to keep us all on the same page and share in those moments together.
And you can use Facebook to do that. You can create a group or whatever for that, or you can go back to the texting app or something where everybody can have the group me or whatever similar to that.
I think WhatsApp is the other one, right?
WhatsApp is another one as well. So
because if you don't have, if everybody doesn't have the same provider, or is it provider like the same type of phone? If you're not all iPhone or all,
yeah, but the group me
Android.
you can get on both, and so that is one. But it's really just looking at the different ones. We've used both before: group me app, and then what was the one you just said? WhatsApp, that's right. We use WhatsApp, and then Facebook. So those are just 3 tools we've used that we know and they do work. So those are good. But yeah, that's a way to stay connected, because if not, especially when you start broadening out to aunts, uncles, grandparents, a lot of times we forget to tell people, and they feel left out. Somebody's going to feel left out, and then they're feeling hurt, and then it just leads down a spiral that you don't want to go down if you don't have to. And with technology the way it is today, it's so much easier to keep up, but we have to be a little intentional on it and set some of these plans in place. That way that doesn't happen. So no, planning is powerful, and coming into the new year is kind of keeping that as a big thought on what are we going to do this year? How can we stay more connected ourselves? What can we do personally? How can we stay more connected as a married couple to where we can stay more on the same page of everything and all the events and everything that we're going to be doing this next year? How can we stay connected as a family between us and our kids? How can we communicate? Because if we're not communicating with our kids, they get frustrated too, and they feel left out, and we don't want that in our family. It just disrupts the peace and happiness in your home. So it's how can we do that with our family, and then how can we do that with our extended family? How can we stay connected there? So it's really putting these plans into place, thinking about them, having a game plan, using what you're good at or what works for you. We're all a little different. So it's being able to sit down with your husband or your wife and talking about it and saying, hey, you know, in these areas, what can we do? Well, what works for us? Yeah. And then try it. And then if it doesn't work, don't give up. Don't quit and say, well, this doesn't work. Try something different. But the goal is make a plan that you are staying together. You know, whether this works or it doesn't, don't give up. Find the thing that does. Yep, keep showing up. So, man, and when you do that, that cuts out all the things that can go wrong whenever miscommunication happens. And we have enough struggles, so we don't want to add to it if we don't have to. So, bam, New Year planning. I can't believe we're talking New Year already. That is crazy.
Oh, man.
2022.
I was going to say, can we turn back time? But then I was afraid you're going to...
If I could turn back time.
Yep, I knew that was coming.
If I could find a way. Man, that was good. Why would you miss out on that? Now that song is stuck in everybody's head.
We're probably going to have like American Idol or somebody or The Voice like come reach out to us from hearing our podcast and be like, we need this guy.
We need this guy because you would make our bloopers reel amazing. So please come join us. Join our little festivities.
Is there like a game show there? Because we have some friends that like to do that as well. I have a couple different friends. Is there a game show that does that? Like you throw out a lyric.
Oh, and then you try to come up with... I don't know.
And then
I know that there's one to where they would sing a part of it, or they play a part, and then you had to fill in the blank. What did they say
Finish it,
after that? And that's a challenge, especially with a lot of those songs that you just kind of hum part of it. Like you're, hey, dear,
oh, that's not appropriate on here, is it? We just had this moment the other night, but okay.
yeah, it was a Nelly song, one of the popular ones that was on the radio, and there was like one line in the chorus that me and Riley, my daughter, we didn't know, and heard the song so many years, and we just kind of mumbled through that part. It's like, wait a minute, what is he saying?
We're like, nobody in the house knows that line, so we looked it up.
And so we looked it up and still didn't know what he was saying. And so then we tried to research, what in the world does he mean? And
I had to text a friend and ask her, because she's like 90 rap song, like she's an expert. And so she Googles it, and I'm like, Riley, you said you Googled it and you weren't able to find this. So,
oh yeah, and it was like way out there. It's like, wow, I would have never known that.
What was the lyric that brought you in? Mo money? No.
No.
Oh man.
But it's three wheeling in the foe with the gold D's.
With the gold D's. Come and take a ride with me. Is that song
Yes. Yes. So it's definitely not appropriate, because then you get to the last part of the chorus and it's like, oh, ooh. Yeah, they're talking about
money. What is the song?
Hey, must be the money.
Be the money.
Yeah, and
okay.
then yeah, you start really listening to the words, and it's like, why was I getting into that? Like, man, did I even know Jesus then?
Nelly was just it. Nelly was really fun to turn up a loud volume with your besties in the car and just sing out a bunch of lyrics that you really could not relate to, but whatever.
It's like it had a good beat, right? And that's kind of what we did. So yeah, no, there you go. That's a little bit of our worldly stuff that we go through, right? We all go through that, and bam, there it is.
Not really.
A little Nelly.
It's fun life.
Nelly. How did we take New Year planning to Nelly? So
you turned back time, and here we are. Can we turn back time back to before we said that?
Well, unfortunately, we can't, and this wraps up for today. But you're going to have that song stuck in your head the rest of the day. You're welcome. Yes. There it is. Listen, we love you. We hope you have a wonderful new year. Be safe. We can't wait for our next Fun Friday that's going to come out on New Year's Eve. So that's going to be really cool too.
Yeah.
But have a safe holiday. Have a safe new year. We love you. We will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us today for another episode of Enjoying Your Blended Family. All the links we've talked about today, they're in the show notes below. If you've enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe below. It's free, and it lets you know when we have another episode for you to listen to.
And if you want to help us out, leave us a rating and review so that we can keep reaching more people. Until next time, remember to enjoy the moment.